Welcome to
Hello.
the 5-8. I'm Greg. This is LB. As usual,
Hello.
happy Good Friday, happy Passover, happy spring here in New York. It's lovely here. Is it lovely there?
It's beautiful here.
It's
Yeah.
always beautiful
So
there. You
it's always
cheat.
beautiful here. I know we cheat. We do.
It's a cheat
We've got
code.
a weather cheat. It's a cheat code.
You've got a
No, it's
cheat code.
great. And I hope everybody is going to find its moment to relax for this holiday weekend. I feel it's been very unrelaxing. I feel it's been very stressful lately.
Lately,
So,
like for the last 5 years, yes. Yes, it
but
has.
it's back in the weirdness. Twitter got really weird this week. It got really unusually strange and toxic. I couldn't even do it. I think I took a couple days where I'm like, I can't even. Every time I looked, everyone was, I don't know, losing their minds, losing their minds.
I
So
mean,
here I am with you.
there's good things too, though. I mean, we're watching this intro by Chunk,
Yeah,
which Wordle this week was Chunk was one of the words on Wordle this past week,
I know.
appropriately enough. And I'm looking and it says, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. And no, Russian warship sink to the bottom of the sea. That's what I
It
see.
fucked itself all the way to the bottom of the sea.
It did.
Thank
It
God.
did. Did
Yeah,
you see that
yeah.
meme where it said it's been promoted to submarine?
I didn't. That's
It was
good.
good. It was good.
That's good. What are you drinking?
Um,
I'm actually having a tiny little bit of alcohol, like normally don't, but this is mostly pineapple juice. Nice. And tequila.
that's a very fancy glass. I'm having also
It's by
tequila
blue and yellow.
with
Yeah.
lemon juice in it.
Nice. We're both doing a blue and a yellow thing. It's good.
Yeah, it's thematic. So okay, so we've got our five
Yep.
topics. Again, if you're new to the show, we're all new to the show. It's like the third show. If you're new
Yeah.
to the show, it's called the 5-8 because it starts at 5 o'clock in Los Angeles and 8 o'clock in New York. Math that I seem to have had a problem with earlier today on Twitter. I apologize for that. You know what it is? I was thinking about it. It is Good Friday, okay? And Good
Yeah.
Friday, as we know, is the day that Christ died, and Easter on Sunday is the resurrection. But all through
Yeah.
my childhood in Mass, in the Catholic tradition, we say on the third day he rose again in fulfillment of the scripture. I mean, Sunday is 2 days from Friday, not three. So you have to count Friday as the third day. So I'm going to blame Catholicism for me doing the math wrong because the two and the
Okay.
three,
You
I got
just
it
can't
mixed up.
count to three. You
Yeah,
can't count to
I
three.
can't.
I
Also
understand.
that.
Okay.
Also that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's also
Okay.
true. So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so we have five topics. They are scrolling below you on our screen here. And we're going to spend 8 minutes on each topic.
Yeah.
LB is going to be the keeper of the clock. When the buzzer sounds, we have no
I, I,
choice
no choice.
but to stop and move on to the next topic because we could talk about, Kushner forever and, who wants to do that really?
I know. I'm getting sick of it, but he deserve. We can't stop until this guy's gone. It's crazy.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
are
true.
you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, our first topic is Kushner's billions. Oh my God, here we go. Go, Craig.
Well, okay, just to recap about this guy. I mean, the stuff that he's done in plain sight, just stuff that we know about, and not only know about, have known about for years. For
That's
years. I
right.
wrote an article on Medium in 2018 about his crimes that were
That's
serious
right.
then. They were serious
Yeah.
then. Ted Lieu in 2016 kept, hey, what about lying on the SF 86 form? That's 5 years
Yeah.
in jail. And he lied 3 times. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Kushner
Yeah.
lied. Doesn't matter. Everyone was just like, yeah, okay. They said, no, he cannot have a security clearance. Trump said, oh, no, no, he has to. He's my son in law, so he must. And everyone was like, yeah, okay, fine. So Trump doesn't listen to the president's daily brief, but Kushner does all the time.
Hmm.
And then what is he doing? He's out in the Middle East. He's cozying up to MBS.
He fired Comey. Let's start there.
Oh
That was
yeah,
his idea. Yeah.
I forgot about that. I didn't even write that in my notes. Yeah, he
Yeah.
thought that Democrats would like it if Comey got
Yeah.
fired because. eh, But I want it. The Saudi Arabian stuff is he's in Riyadh. He's hanging out with MBS. He's telling him stuff. MBS is
That's right.
bragging that he has him in his pocket. That's a direct quote from MBS. Jared
Yeah.
probably gives him classified intelligence relating to the royal family. Kushner leaves Riyadh. I believe this is in October of 2015, or 2016, rather. Leaves Riyadh, and there's immediately a purge of the royal family, and he knows who to purge because now he's got the intel. So there's
Our
also this,
intelligence product. I still can't get
yeah,
it. Our intelligence product.
yeah, our
It's
intelligence
stunning.
product. He's doing that,
Yeah,
and then there's the Khashoggi thing.
that's
He's the de
right.
facto ambassador to Saudi Arabia. There is no ambassador to Saudi Arabia for, I think, 2, maybe 3 years into the term. Kushner is fulfilling that role. He lobbies for Trump to make Saudi Arabia the first visit that he'll take to a foreign country as president. No president has gone there because the human rights record is horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying. These are
This
horrible, horrible people.
horrible. That's
And
what
the
I call the
government.
shit. Yeah, the shit on all that's holy tour, right? Because it started with Saudi Arabia and ended in Israel, at the wall. Or did it
Yeah.
end in Rome with the Pope? I don't
Oh
know.
my
It was
God. It's just
talk about we're in a holiday weekend, and it was like hitting all of these
hitting all the yeah.
all of the sacred holy sites, and just smearing their smear all over it, and the infamous sword dance. And remember the globe, the orb, and everything
Yeah.
up on the screen. And we learned later, and who was in there with him? The Egyptian president, right? Who Donald called his favorite dictator or whatever, this weirdo guy that ends up getting elevated. And then we find out later that there was money coming through Egypt. This is all the stuff coming out of the Mueller report that, again, nobody bothered to read, right? It's, which we should all revisit now, because there was a lot in Ukraine on there. There was a lot of Manafort on there. Those are the crimes that Manafort actually ended up being charged with. It's just stunning how Jared has been at the center of all this, with Saudi Arabia on one side and the secret back channel to the Kremlin, which he was trying to set up, but we don't know what really happened to that on the other side.
He met the guy,
Yeah.
the president of the sanctioned bank, and the president of the sanctioned bank said it was about government shit. And
Yeah.
Kushner said, no, no business. But, there's things. But there's the
Yeah.
Qatari blockade. Kushner was lobbying for the
That's
blockade.
right.
And as I see it, and it seems pretty clear that he was using U.S. policy as a stick to get those guys to help him with his fucking loan in that stupid building that
That
genius
666.
Jared bought for a gajillion dollars at the height of the fucking market. Literally,
That's
the
right.
ink wasn't even dry on the sale and the market collapsed. Good job, Jared. You're so smart, idiots. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And now the presidency's over. Jared's a private citizen, and lo and behold, they're going to funnel him $2 billion in cash to
That's right.
whatever. How is that not? I mean,
Against their own advisors.
yeah,
So this is also MBS overriding the advice of the people who run his royal fund. They're saying
yeah,
this guy doesn't have any, he's like, no, I'm paying him. Yeah, I'm paying him $2 billion. Thanks. So, it's a grift of all grifts, but it also brings into stark relief the things that we have been saying about this human being, Jared Kushner, since the get go. It's like, who the fuck is he?
yeah.
Excuse me
Who is
for
he?
my F bomb, YouTube. Who is he? Why did Donald listen to him? Every single thing he said to Donald was a failure. Every recommendation. He also took credit for all the wins where there were wins. There were hardly any, but the wins for MAGA land, Jared took credit for that. Everything that went wrong that got Donald into more and more trouble, and like the corruption pile was going, those were Jared's recommendations that all went sideways. So here's somebody who's advising, right? And his advice is shit. And he's taking credit for shit that he didn't have anything to do with because he wants the credit on himself. And Donald just lets all that happen. It didn't fit with the ego. It didn't fit with the personality as we knew it. He's afraid of him.
Yeah,
He's afraid of Jared. Jared scares Donald. Why? Why? And this thing with our intelligence product, and then getting this payment, and everyone's like, well, you can't connect it all. I don't care. Yes, I can. He was there.
yeah,
He took intelligence product. Later, he got $2 billion. How many smoking guns do you need? So this is espionage under that. If even looking at it that way, we were saying of like, we've got to redefine how foreign agents actually operate in our system to encompass things like chaos agents and information, people running propaganda things. But this is just old-fashioned, here you go, in broad daylight. Here's a file. Here you go. Right? And let's not forget, and then there's the Kissinger stuff, and then that's always like Kissinger was popping up in weird places where Jared was, and then there's the Bibi Netanyahu and the long tradition of friendship, we guess, that Bibi's like with the Kushners for some reason. There's also Benny Steinmetz, who was putting a lot of money in CIM, these sort of Israeli developers, but they're also in the diamond business, funneling money through Jared Kushner properties. And that lawyer involved in all of that ends up representing clients and then defending Jared. But it's not clear. Why are you in there, Alan Dershowitz? What's this about? Why are you, what is happening, right, around Jared Kushner? It's all this very strange, cloaked idiocy, right? And so we have to start looking at this. I do think it's time for folks to look at it a little bit differently. Just, he's dumb. Yes. He's horrible at whatever he's doing, I guess, except that he seems to be getting away with everything.
Right. And why?
Why is he getting away with everything? Why is our Justice Department afraid of him? Why?
It's weird too, because somebody like Donald and even Junior to a degree, they have a base of people that like them, right? Who likes Jared?
Nobody.
Jared. Literally
no one likes him. Spy.
No one likes Jared.
I said it. I said it there.
No one likes Jared. Okay. Next up, let's see. On the ticker, it says New York WTF. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a lot to say on this. So
let's do another minute and a half on Jared then.
Okay.
Can we do that? Can we?
Yeah, we can eat in. Wait, hang on. I got to set the timer. But this is our new rule, everybody. If we want to keep talking about one thing, we have to eat into the time of another thing. So because we got to stay on schedule. We do. Okay.
We do.
Here we go. 8 minutes. Yeah, keep going about Jared.
Not 8 minutes, like 2 minutes. Yeah, no, what I was going to say is he doesn't have a constituency. Donald Jr. has a constituency. There are people that like him, that he's got the trolls, he appeals to people in that trolly, dumb fuck kind of way. Yeah. His father clearly appeals to people, that he's led a cult. He's the leader of a cult. There's no cult around Jared Kushner. He's Slenderman. It makes no sense. There isn't anybody that likes him. So who is protecting him and why? Is it just the PR firms that are like helping the media like deflect away and not report on anything important? I don't know. I mean, it's been heartening this week to see that this is starting to come out. You have people like Steve Schmidt tweeting about it and using the word espionage. I know.
That's right.
Yeah. These are words that was in my pinned thread for years, literally for years. Saying it was espionage, but now people are starting to come onto the fact that if you're trading U.S. policy in order to get money for your own business so that your family business doesn't go bankrupt, that's no different than Robert Hansen taking diamonds and giving intelligence to the KGB. Fundamentally, it's the same thing, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know. It seems espionage.
Well, if because there was intelligence product that then was acted on.
Yeah.
It acted on in order for one royal that was favored to Jared to stay in power, because there was actually someone else in the royal family who wanted to take over and was in a good position. And so he also was able to sort of secure the monarchy there for his buddy, who then paid him $2 billion. It's too much.
It really is.
Come on, everybody.
Wake up and smell that. We haven't even mentioned the 1 million people that he killed as part of the.
Haven't even gotten to the Blue State Genocide. All right, we're under 6 minutes now. Okay.
Okay. New York. WTF? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you're a public official involved in corruption, if you're a Democrat, we're gonna get you. So we had this lieutenant governor. I don't even know his name.
His name is Brian Benjamin, obviously. And I live in New York, and I had to Google it the day that I heard that. I was like, lieutenant governor, and I thought, oh no, not Hochul, but no, obviously she's the actual governor now. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And this guy is somebody that she picked, and that's it. I mean, again, if you're corrupt, I fully support you going to prison. Like, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you're
Right.
bad, you're bad. It makes no
But
difference to
but
me.
if I'm a
But
if you're a Republican, Greg,
mm,
you go Republican and then you play that card, you go full MAGA and you run for public office and you win, and then you keep playing as long as there isn't anything, it appears they will go after like well, we don't know with Matt Getz, like the sex with minors, but which is technically rape. But you can do anything else, whatever you want to do.
the
Mark
attorney
Meadows,
general, yeah,
yeah, they're not going to go after him. Like the president's chief of staff is caught red-handed committing voter fraud. Nothing's going to happen to him. Because then it will look political. It'll look
maybe.
political.
I don't know.
So
I'm not.
you got
I'm not
you got a little
completely
bit of time.
convinced. I'm not completely convinced Mark Meadows is going to get off the hook. He's pretty dumb. You know, Hugo Lowell told me
He's
the
not.
story about Mark Meadows. Okay, on my podcast, which is that
Oh yeah.
Mark Meadows had left Congress and was trying to get a job on. This is a rumor that was flying around that Hugo told me. I don't know if it's true. So he was trying to. Meadows was trying to boost his candidacy. So he sort of let it be known that he was in the running for chief of staff. He leaked this to the press in order to go back to the K Street consulting gigs and be like, hey, they want me to be chief of staff. You could have me. He was trying to do
Oh
that to get a
my.
job. And the Trump
And then
people
he
got
got
wind of it and
stuck.
actually offered him the job because no one else was stupid enough to take it. And he felt obliged to take it. And oh my God, what a dope. Anyway, if that's true, I love that story so much.
That's
It's just so funny.
amazing. He thought
Yeah.
he could
Yeah.
use the press to get a deal, and he ended up with this job. And I'll never forget. But my lasting image of Mark Meadows, and the more persistent one, is where he was sitting with his head in his hands when Donald had COVID and was in the hospital, and everybody, and he was like, ah. All right, but back to New York. So,
Yeah.
we were going to talk about the subway uh, gunman and all of that. And I don't know. I feel like, they caught him, and, he's clearly someone who's very ill, but also, I don't, there's a reason why this radicalization machine is something that folks like me have been raising the alarms about for a long, long time, because it's just so dangerous. And and I know it looks like his views are kind of conflicting and everything, but he's clearly been saturating himself with online conspiracies and in these groups. And he has his own channel. He puts out a lot of content because this is what gets sparked, right? To look at these individuals as lone wolves is really the wrong way to look at it. And we need to stop that as well, especially with like mass shooters and folks. That whole lone wolf thing needs to go away now that we have this element. What I've been trying to get forward as a metaphor is, think of an aspen tree where we being human beings thought for a long time that the aspens were all separate trees. And then it was realized, oh, there's a large organism. They're all connected to them. These are just the sprouts that come up where the trees. So that's what it's like. There's an organism underneath the surface of, and now it's really kind of on the surface with the social media and the radicalization methods that have been going on in social media. It started in 4chan, 8chan, Reddit boards, gaming boards, and now it's just moved into real mainstream everyday use platforms and things that folks are in. Just people getting radicalized with these conspiracies, and it just agitating their brains to a certain degree. Well, it's all coming from these same sources that are pumping and churning this very toxic information that they can engage with and get addicted to and get stuck in and get trapped in and build whole worlds. It's not just lone here, lone there. How can we catch it? We know actually what we can do to really help ourselves in this epidemic is to really start regulating the fuck out of Facebook and start shutting down some of this stuff and really make some demands on how our data is used, what's going on with these social media platforms in and of themselves, and who should we allow? Should we allow someone to just come in and take complete control? Some weirdo billionaire? So we'll get to that
We'll
in a
get to
little
that.
bit. We'll get to that in a little bit, but it is connected to it. It is. And so
it is.
it's just horrible. And I'm glad that New York, you know, we had that Syrian, I think that's still the case, right? That hasn't been disproven, but the Syrian immigrant, it's a U.S. citizen who caught him, who saw him and said, that's the guy.
All right.
So, thank goodness this man is in custody. He needs
Yeah.
to be in custody. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing okay that was hurt.
And looping back to what we said earlier.
Yeah, loop on back.
It's a black man that goes to jail and gets busted. Meanwhile, in Texas, the attorney general has been under indictment, federal indictment for fraud for like years. He's the
Forget
fucking
it.
attorney general of Texas. Okay, now what we
Forget
have to do is, before we bring in our esteemed guest, we have to take a break because that's what we do. We take breaks, LB. Right?
Okay, this is our break.
Yeah.
All right.
Back.
Hey, it's Nunzio Ciccarelli, president of the Bank of the Bada Bing, Jersey's finest financial services firm. I'm here to tell you about a new online dating app made by wise guys for wise guys. Mobster. That's Mobster, without the E, because who the fuck knows why? Need to replace your gumad? Looking for a date for your big weekend in Boca? Did Christiane Allen quit as your press secretary? Whether you're an enforcer, a racket guy, some corrupt attorney or judge, or the head of one of the 5 families, Mobster's the best place to find some action. And hey, we won't sell your data like that lying sack of shit Mark Zuckerberg. Some people got ethics. Mobster. You swipe left, I'll break your fucking hand. And now, back to the show.
All right.
Right on cue.
Yeah. I don't even look
Right
that
on
different, do I, right now? Yeah.
No, not really. You did get a haircut. I do like the haircut.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, your hair, it's like curly now. You've got a new
You
look.
know, well, this is called let it, wash it and have it be clean, and then let it dry, and it's curly when I dry it, and then a little bit of
For
a little bit
product.
of juju. Yeah, a little bit of juju in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Thanks.
yeah, our first guest, our only guest, our guest,
Our guest.
is the author of these 2 books, Stoned and The Truth About Lies. And it's Aja Raden, and we're going to bring her on right now. Hi, Aja. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Aja.
I did not get a haircut or wash it or do a little bit of juju. I just did my best not to look like I made out with a light socket, and I failed.
Yeah, you did okay. You're looking good. Yeah, you did a good job.
I'd get swiped left on a mobster dating app. Or right.
All right. Oh my.
Okay.
I don't know which is worse on the mobster dating app.
It's worse.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that would go. Okay, so the topic.
Okay.
I said uncut gems just to make it more of a surprise, but it's all about the diamonds. It's
accurate because we're going to talk about uncut diamonds. But first, I did want to mention, because I couldn't shout things from the green room. You said Jared Kushner got $2 billion, and I was going, more. That's the wonderful thing about money laundering with diamonds. You have no idea how much money he got, because nothing about the diamond industry is actually true. All of it is self-reported. How many diamonds came out of Alrosa? This is the giant diamond mine in Russia. How many diamonds came out of Russia? How many diamonds came out of De Beers? I don't know. I know what's reported. I know what the Bain Annual Diamond Report, this is the report, says about global diamond output. I know what they're supposedly worth because Martin Rappaport sets the prices every year in the Rappaport report. So much of it is, first of all, made up, and then we all agree to believe it, like the fact that they're worth anything at all, and we want them. And so much of it's in our minds, and then so much of it is an industry, and this is, by the way, my industry. I have been in the gem industry since I was 12. That sounds like child abuse, but like the entertainment industry, it's one of those industries that you start in very early, either because you're born into it or because you just know you want to be in it and you get somebody to let you into it. And
okay, so let's stop there for a second, because I actually want to give you a little bit more of an introduction to, so people can know why you chose to write this book. And then there's something that you and I should talk about real quick in terms of, I don't know if I think you knew this, that I did write the Elizabeth Taylor series that's coming out. And yes, amazing. To separate a little bit that there are stones, specific stones that have provenance and have value because of that. And that, and Elizabeth's were
the Krupp diamonds.
She acquired them for that. And then because she acquired them, she added to the provenance herself, right? So they went up in value because they were hers, and that's its own lineage. So there are those kinds of stones.
Yeah.
And then certainly with the gems that are the emerald mines that are empty, right? How diamonds are different than those kinds of stones.
I talk about a lot of those things in Stoned.
In Stone, right.
How value comes to exist in general.
Right.
And
in general. Yeah. So there's that. And then there's also, you got into it a little bit, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to put that down and also just introduce to people. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about why you chose to write Stoned, right? Where did you come from in writing that? And then we can set our timer and talk about that Haaretz article.
Okay. Yeah. So I have been in the jewelry industry for a very long time. I'm not going to say how long, because I said 12 and then I'll date myself. But also I'd have to do arithmetic in my head. And
this is not the show for that. Yeah. It's bad on this show. Yeah, it's not going to work.
I was in London interviewing for jewelry designer positions with the big companies, which are all in Londongrad for reasons I would later come to understand. And a friend of mine came through town who's an author. She was my college roommate, and she invited me to her birthday party. And a girl at the birthday party who I'd never met was wearing an engagement ring that I had designed a few years earlier, because I was already a fairly successful jewelry designer. And she asked what kind of jewelry I designed, because everybody at the party was in publishing and she had nothing to talk to me about. And I said, that kind. And she said, you design engagement rings? I said, no, I designed your engagement ring. And she thought that was amazing, even though it happened to me all the time. I would see people at Starbucks wearing jewelry I'd designed. And she told her husband, and he wanted to know if it was a good one, because men always want to know, is that diamond a good one? Yeah. And we were all very drunk, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning in a bar in Paris. And I went, yeah, it's fucking awesome. And he was like, what? It's not a good one? And I was like, no, it's great. It's great, man. And he was like, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. And finally I was like, you want to know the truth? They're all the same. And none of them are worth anything. And he was shocked and upset. And we ended up talking about diamond cartels and imaginary value and the diamond rush in South Africa and De Beers and how they invented the engagement ring to circumvent basically monopoly laws in America right after World War II, because all diamonds were their diamonds at that point, and they needed a product to sell to Americans. And because that's where all the money ended up, with the GI Bill. Mm-hmm. And at that point, he stopped me and he said to my friend whose birthday it was, can she write? And she said, I don't even know if she can read. And
oh no, that's not good.
Well, I had studied physics and
yeah.
They sort of bullied me into agreeing to write a book. And as I said, we were very drunk. And it turned out he was a book agent. And that was how I ended up writing that first book.
Wonderful. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I love that story.
These are really good books, by the way.
Really great books. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to put the timer on. Greg's going to set this up for everybody. If you didn't read the article, and there's more reporting coming out.
Kushner was just, remember Epstein? They opened his safe and there was just a fuck ton of diamonds in there.
Yeah.
The great thing about money laundering with diamonds is nothing in the diamond industry is really true. It's all self-reported, and everybody's a liar. So these diamonds, they just go missing and nobody knows they're missing. And that's how you pay people who don't want you to know they got paid. And you don't want people to know you paid them. And maybe you got 2 billion, maybe you got 20 billion, maybe you got 3 billion. I don't know.
I just keep seeing the casinos thing of like for Epstein, like maybe his plan was to wrap it in Ghislaine's hair if they ever had to leave town, you know, book it
They're
out of
also
there.
very easy
And
to
then
transport.
shake it out of her. I don't know if anybody remembers that from
No,
Joe
but it's
Pesci's
hard
Life
to
at
take
Casino.
a flat of money with you from
That's right.
from
You take a little bag of diamonds.
the Middle East back to New York. It is not hard to take some diamonds mixed in with your jewelry. Nobody's going to notice that. Ivanka dumps it in with her jewelry and they walk right through the airport.
Oh, you said it. Okay, here we go.
Is it safe?
8 minutes on the
Is it
clock.
safe? Okay.
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 So there was the
Ivanka
article
and her
that-
diamonds.
okay.
Ivanka and her diamonds is a whole other segment you have to come
Yeah,
back
it
for. We have
is.
to talk about that. That's a whole thing in and of itself.
Years ago.
In and of itself. Okay, Greg.
Okay.
Okay,
so,
there was an article this week about diamonds coming into Israel from Russia. And you did a thread about it saying it's not just Israel, it's lots of places. So why don't you elaborate on the thread? You already started talking about, you know, the beauty of diamonds, if you happen to be a criminal enterprise that wanting to pay people off, is, as we discussed, easy to move, they're small, they're easy to smuggle, all that kind of stuff. And you can sell them anywhere, and they're, you know, we think they're valuable, therefore they're valuable. So you go to 48th Street in Manhattan and you can sell them, you can just walk up the street.
I could
Spend
do
a
a
couple
whole
hours.
hour on the various ways you can money launder with diamonds, large scale, small scale, international. But we're talking about rough diamonds because that's what this article in Haaretz was about. And basically what they said was Israel is funding Putin's war in Ukraine and they have blood on their hands and these are blood diamonds. And I said, step back. Everyone is. That's always the story with the diamond industry. Everyone is. Belgium is. India is. The UAE is. The EU is. And by the way, you are. You know, if you went to Jared, if you went to Zales, if you bought something, because
we're all going to Jared.
because
love it.
Because Russia, first of all, is the largest exporter of rough diamonds in the world. Supposedly, it's 30%, but it's not because there's this big gray box called other, and other is other mines that belong to Alrosa and belong to De Beers, who are the two biggest producers, but Alrosa by far. And a lot of those other mines belong to Alrosa. So it's really more like 40 or 50%. By far, they're the largest exporter of rough diamonds in the world. And those rough diamonds go to 3 or 4 primary diamond cutting centers. And that's where the rough diamonds that just look like broken pieces of yellow and white and cruddy glass. You wouldn't know they were diamonds if you saw them. They get sent, they get sorted, and then based on size and quality, they get sent to different countries. Those countries buy them, and gem cutters there cut them and turn them into what you think of as diamonds. But the important part is once they're in those countries because those countries went and bought them from Russia. They now belong to those countries. They are no longer something that they're cut and polished and sent to another country. You didn't buy something from Russia. You bought something from Israel. Or you bought something from India. Or you bought something from Belgium. Or you bought something from the UAE, because those are the 4 major countries that cut and polish diamonds. And this article, and I didn't love it because it had a lot of facts in it, but there was also a lot of framing. They cherry-picked the facts that they wanted you to know. Like that Israel is doing this and they declined sanctions when all the good people were agreeing to sanction Russia and the Western Alliance was sanctioning Russia. And isn't Israel part of the Western Alliance? Well, isn't Belgium part of NATO? Aren't they part of the EU? And by the way, Israel buys 10% of Russia's rough diamonds. Belgium buys something like 23%. And more importantly, well, I just want to throw out there, India buys the largest share at 30% or 40%. But again, these are soft numbers because they're self-reported. And if you ask them about each other, they'll give you totally different numbers.
Yeah, I'm sure. And let me ask you this real quick. You said something too about luxury goods.
Yes, that's what
with
I was about to
diamonds.
say.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Belgium.
let's hear about that.
The thing
Yes.
about Belgium is, it sounds like, well, they're not buying as much as India, right?
Mm.
They had this epic shit fit right when we all agreed to start sanctioning Russia, and they demanded a carve out for luxury goods. And everybody was like, really? Luxury goods? You want luxury goods? And I had mentioned to Greg, I was like, this isn't about Gucci loafers and Chanel handbags back at the time. So this is about diamonds, because they were pinning it on Italy. They were like, but Italy will die if they can't sell luxury goods to Russians. And I was like, no, they need to sell diamonds. It's like their entire economy. And more importantly, at the end of February, mid-February, they had just signed an agreement between Alrosa and the Antwerp World Diamond Center that would have changed the percentage of rough diamonds they buy from Alrosa and the other mines Alrosa owns, from the percentage it is now, which makes them the second largest importer at, like, squishy numbers, but 20 something, to 86%. The amount of Russian diamonds that passed from Russia through the Antwerp World Diamond Center would have been 86% of Russian diamonds. Now remember, Russian diamonds are a majority of the world rough diamonds. So all those Russian diamonds would go through Belgium. And Belgium has gotten themselves a carve out in the sanctions. So they're still
taking it. So we can't, like, I was like, there's plenty of diamonds out there. We don't need any more new ones. Just,
oh God, the overhang, which is what it's called. That's all the cut polished diamonds in human hands, is so huge that if we all sold our diamonds right now and the value depreciated, or, this is my favorite fact, if we found out how many there were, it would actually cause an economic collapse globally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Who's in the mines?
Behind it. Yeah.
Who's in the mines?
Who's in the Russian mines? Who is in the Russian mines? What's the labor?
Alrosa and the mines around it are in a region called Sakha-Yakutia, which is in far eastern Russia.
So is it North Korea?
Well, no, it's in Russia.
I know it's in Russia, but we know they're taking people.
Are they enjoying it? No.
No, the slave labor.
They're not enjoying it. These are people who have, well, everyone in Russia has limited rights. These people have extra limited rights. It's like the steerage of Russia.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh,
because
I'm so worried.
Russians have a lot of thoughts about ethnic Russians. These are Siberians. These are people they do not exactly consider ethnic Russians. So they're not having a good time. And the thing about Alrosa is, who do you think it's owned by? 30% of it belongs to the Russian Federation.
Yeah.
The government.
I would think it would be bigger than that.
30% of it belongs to Putin.
Yeah.
Directly. And 30% of it belongs to private shareholders, meaning oligarchs. Human wallets. So it just belongs to Putin.
Okay, wow. You nailed it. You nailed it at the 8 minutes.
The timing was good.
Stuck the landing.
Although
I had about 500 other things to say.
Unlike Rod Rosenstein, you landed the plane. The Aja Raden, your book, you have 2 books, Stoned and The Truth About Lies.
And both movie about diamonds.
And the movie about diamonds. We didn't even talk about the movie about diamonds, which is called Nothing Lasts Forever. When is it out, this movie? Is
it just premiered in Chicago. It's premiering in LA soon. It'll be in theaters, I think, this spring, and then this summer it'll be on Showtime.
Okay. Let us all know when it's on Showtime, because I want to make sure I watch this thing. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Aja, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had a great time.
Okay.
All right. So, as always with her, I have to stop and think about everything she said.
I know it's a lot of information, but I so value her. She
She
really
knows.
just
She knows.
takes
Yeah.
you, you're going along, la, la, la. And she just goes, like, this is what's really going on. Here's how it's going down. So we need those voices big time. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. She's a great writer, everybody. You'll enjoy the books. They're great. Yeah.
Okay, moving on, which is what we do on the 5-8. We
This
move
is what
on.
we do.
Yeah. It's the Prince of Darkness. And do you know who the Prince of Darkness is?
Is it
It's this fucking guy.
Yeah,
Look at this
there he
guy.
is.
Look at him.
Look
Oh,
at
yeah. He
that.
doesn't look so tough, does he? Looks
All right,
like
we're starting the clock.
looks
So
like
this is
somebody got roused from bed. I don't know that, or maybe he had a hat on. I don't know what's going on with that hair.
Well, look, this man was in custody in Ukraine because he's wanted for treason. Isn't that exciting? And and possibly a lot of financial crimes, because those
Hey, it's
two things
fun
go.
when a government arrests somebody for treason, isn't it?
It's
That's cool.
amazing. Yeah. So he's like Jared Kushner of Ukraine, but with a little bit more going on. And so then when the attack started, he took off, somehow and so they recaptured him. So I know everybody's thinking they just went out and got some enemy of something or Putin's buddy and Putin's the godfather. Think of his daughter, vice versa. I can't even remember all this godfatherness. It's like, it's crazy with the Ukraine and Russia, with the oligarchs that are Putin's in Ukraine. They all do the godfather thing or godmother thing. And so, no, he was already in big time trouble and got out somehow, and then they recaptured him. So this is what he looks like recaptured. This man was also who Putin wanted to take over as a possible, sort of puppet, like Orban and like Donald, for Ukraine once it was back in terms of, not back, but because I'm thinking Soviet Union, but once Putin thought he could win it, he could just go take it. And then you want to get into, like, I started looking, I was like, God, I must have done threads on this guy back in 2017. And I was looking for old research of things. And lo and behold, what came up were those peace plans.
Yeah,
the peace plans. So he was adjacent to all of that, but again, was sort of in the wings with the same group of people as waiting to kind of take over. But everything we're seeing happen right now with Russia in Ukraine, I highly recommend everybody to go back and read that early reporting from 2017 when the news broke that Donald had the platform changed at the RNC in Cleveland to be soft on Russia. And we all thought it was just about lifting these sanctions. Look at it again. Look at the information that's coming out. It's actually, it sort of seems like there was two, yes, lift the sanction. Okay. Even though the sanctions weren't really hurting them, the Crimea sanctions, they were pretty ineffective. It wasn't going to Putin's inner circle, and Putin himself, which is why Biden administration has made such a big deal about the new sanctions for this invasion, of saying, no, now we know who to go to and who to get and how to make these things work. And they will be effective, and they are effective, and they will continue to be effective. But back then, the Crimea sanctions, it wasn't, yes, he wanted them lifted, but what was he trying to get in these peace plans, right? Or these change in the platform? He was trying to get Donbass. He wanted this sort of any kind of deal to happen. Okay, the sanctions will be lifted, but also they would have the rights to Crimea and also any other sort of Russian speaking or predominantly Russian speaking. And the Donbass region kept coming up and coming up. This man has had his sights set on doing this for years.
Yes.
For years. Yeah. And in going back and reading that and looking who the characters were, remember we had Michael Cohen and Felix Sater going in there with one peace plan. That was for the Artemenko plan, right? Mm-hmm. And then you had the Pinchuk plan or whatever that was the one that ended up going. And it wasn't necessarily, actually none of them went, but that was the one that Putin actually did want Donald to do. He was opposed to the Artemenko plan, or that was the reporting, but nobody knows why he would be opposed to it. And everything really was just about, he's going to take this whole country. He's just going to take it. And that's what the push was. That's what the thrust was. It wasn't just get rid of the sanctions. It was clear a path for me to take this territory. I'm taking it. And corrupting the government as much as possible. And that eventually led to the failure of Donald to deliver for Putin what he wanted, did end up driving that first impeachment. First of all, it was the whole body of the Mueller report when it came to this stuff around Manafort and all of this. That's all about what happened in Ukraine, as we've been telling you guys, right? Go back and read the Mueller report. Look at that. Look at the charges against Paul Manafort. How was it all connected to the Russian sort of infiltration and attack on our democratic processes, right? The first part of the Mueller report, not the obstruction of justice, but the other part. So this is everything's in real stark relief now that Putin has just gone ahead and done the thing that he wanted to do.
Yeah,
and it's still not working out for him. It's still not working out for him, and it won't work for him. I do believe in that. I'm just going to keep my blue and my just keep going for Ukraine. And certainly there were some victories this week, but oh my God, it's not going to stop here. It's not. Either we stop him in Ukraine or this guy keeps on rolling.
No, he's going to go into the other, either Finland or Estonia. One of the, he's going to keep going. He's on the Hitler template. I wrote a piece about it 2 months ago. It's very obvious that's what he's doing. But going back to Ukraine, to the topic here at hand, if you go back now to your point and look at everything that was happening at that time, you have a lot of stuff with Ukraine. You have Paul Manafort, as you said, was in Ukraine for years. The template for how they ran Trump was workshopped in Ukraine. Paul Manafort, it was, hey, this is Provincetown. We're going to open the play here and then bring it to Broadway. That's what Manafort was doing in Ukraine.
Yeah.
You have the only change in the RNC platform. Not that they changed it about Ukraine. It was literally the only change that they made.
That's
because
right.
Trump told them to was this one thing about Ukraine. You had Paul Ryan, and remember the conversation that was recorded with Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy and these guys. Keep it in the family. They were talking about Ukraine and the stuff that was going on in Ukraine.
They were talking about the propaganda.
The Republicans have known for years about Ukraine. Where did Rudy Giuliani go? What city was he in? Kharkiv. He was their security expert. In what country? Ukraine. Kharkiv is in eastern Ukraine, close to the Russian border. So he's mixed up with these guys in Ukraine. And Deripaska, Ukraine. Semyon Mogilevich, Ukraine. There's all this, Michael Cohen's wife, Ukraine. Felix Sater, Ukraine. There's all this stuff. The lines are there. And
it was all the sort of crafted disinformation. Some of it, there's always facts mixed in there around the Hunter laptop and around the Hunter blah 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 blah. Here's the deal: Vladimir Putin wants Ukraine.
Yeah.
And all of this insanity, starting back in 2016 at that RNC convention, has been about giving it to him.
Yeah.
All the buzzing around in the activity. Okay, we'll figure out the piece. You'll lease it, and then you'll come back to us. No, we didn't want the lease plan. Okay, well, we'll do this and and everyone thinking it was just about lifting sanctions, including me. No, he wants the country.
He wants the territory. Certainly the
and that Medvedchuk was going to be the guy that was going to deliver it for him as well.
Medvedchuk was going to be the guy that was going to deliver it for him. And God, I had an epiphany, and it floated out of my brain.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. It's the buzzer. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. If it comes back,
it'll come back to you, and we'll lead into the next time. Yeah, we didn't do announcements. Is this?
No, the announcements is now. This is the announcements time.
Okay, great.
We did it at the wrong time last week. I don't really have any
announcements. Yes, we did.
We can take questions though. Do we want to take questions?
We want to do that. This is our time. It's appropriate too. We said this is our piece, pass the plate, all of that moment in the show. And everyone's going to be hopefully going to a service this weekend or not. Maybe you don't, but if you are, then, we honor whatever your belief set is.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, now is the time. You have to be on YouTube and post.
You have to. I see a lot of people in here. I'm looking through it. Yeah. I don't see any questions. We've got people giving comments. You can throw a comment up there. No. You're not going to do that. You only have the controls, Greg Oliar. So let's not have dead air time if we can't figure this out.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just waiting for questions. But if there's no questions, we could. Do we have any announcements?
I don't
think I have any.
anything.
I don't think I have any announcements. I wish
The
I could.
YouTube,
I'm stalling because I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. That's why I'm.
I
stalling.
know you're stuck on that. So the YouTube channel is up. That's what everybody's watching here. It took us a little bit to get it because again, this is an on the fly show, but I feel like it's coming together a little bit.
I think we're making it work.
I think we're going to make it work. I don't have anything other than that. Nothing for anybody. Oh, somebody likes the patio. Thank you. I'm haunting someone else's abode at the moment. I'm just all over town lately. So this ends up being a nice place for me. So I appreciate that. I'll let them know. Okay. And you still can't remember your thought?
No,
Ukraine.
No.
He just wants. Okay, it'll come. You'll remember at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I do think though. Yeah, as soon as we end the show, I'll remember. I'll tweet it if I remember.
Okay.
I wonder. I've wondered often why Putin chose to do this now and not before, and I think it's because he realized that it's not. I remember. Okay, I remember. This is important. I think this is important. I think that Hunter Biden was working at Burisma. I think they offered him that job specifically to create dirt on him. I don't think Hunter Biden was just there by mistake. I think Putin got them out there to go get Hunter Biden just in the off chance that Joe would be president. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that even the job at Burisma was a fucking Russian trap that he fell for, but it's still a trap. That's how far in advance this thing was planned. That's the point. Okay, that's it. Hunter Biden's laptop.
I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't even thought of that. But it is the playbook for sure.
Thank God.
And some people are very rich targets for this kind of manipulation, unfortunately. All right. Oh, and then people are talking about the Voldemort. Yeah, it's important to know that. Yeah, the atrocities that that Russia over many, many decades has committed in Ukraine against Ukrainian people. It's never ending. I do think, though, we had this. I did want to say, not that we're going on and on about this topic, but maybe you had a different thing that you stuck in here of where we're going, but it will all tie back around. I do think we're living in a moment right now that's going to be one of those things that's remembered for 2,000 or 3,000 years and just never forgotten. These are sort of biblical times as we go into this holiday weekend that we're living through in the moment. And it's so strange to be living through this and realizing this is one population that is never, ever, ever going to forget or forgive their neighbors. Ever. And it's just, and oh, for God, it's just like, it's incredible to me. So I don't mean to be rambling around that, but just as a thought of like, we're literally living through a moment that we know that wars go on forever and ever, and people hold grudges. It's not even a grudge. Like, how can you forgive this? How can this be forgiven? The atrocities we're now seeing, and what happened. And that was a big part of the news why I just couldn't even watch it this week or look at Twitter. It was just the human misery was too much.
Yeah.
God bless those people.
The stuff with the rapes and all that, and that they found those people.
Oh my God.
I just can't even imagine that. I can't imagine someone doing that. I just can't imagine. All right. Let's not talk about that. Here's a question.
We're not going to end on that. Yeah.
No, here's a question from Stuart. Okay. Hi, Stuart.
Stuart.
Jersey Crown. Yeah, we got to let Stuart. Okay. Do you take seriously Jersey Crown, tax haven, Jersey Islanders serious about Abramovich? We'll see what happens with Abramovich. What do you think, LB?
I don't know. I'll believe it when his ex-wife and his kids are cut off. And I realize that she has moved on to another wealthy man, but she has her own wealth. Do we have these other oligarchs where we're starting to see now the nerve and the spine to go after their kids and their families and ex-wives and girlfriends. And the reason why that's important, everybody, is not because our American sensibility is like, oh, you can't hold the children responsible for the sins of the father. Oh, well, that wife was probably done. All those excuses go out the window when it comes to the oligarchy from Russia. It's a different thing, and you've got to stop coming at things from our Western and especially our American framework and understand theirs. Those relationships, a lot of them are transactional. And maybe there was something where it was a real marriage here or there, a real girlfriend, but they're used as sort of shells. It's like a shell company. A person is a shell company through which, all this wealth is hidden and funneled and channeled. And it doesn't, I don't know these folks. I can't speak personally to this couple or ex-couple, but I know there's definitely a pattern out there of the money flow doesn't stop just because a marriage stops. And so I guess when I see that, I'll think, yeah, maybe we're taking this guy seriously, because we're willing to shut down all his channels through which he stores his wealth. But until then, yeah, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. My God, Jersey's the key. Stuart's been right about that all along. Jersey is the key.
Well, yep. I think when the Queen goes, and she presumably can't live forever. Presumably, maybe if anybody can, it's her. But we'll see. Because my sense is that Charles is a little better. Again, grain of salt here. Like everything's relative.
I don't know.
No, I don't know either. That's my sense.
I think I'm in the other direction on that. I think
he doesn't like his brother. He doesn't like his brother, is what I'm hearing. I don't know. What do I know?
I don't know about it.
Greg Olear, royal whisperer. Okay, wait. We have this is important. Okay, because here we go. I'm going to suggest the Insight Timer app with the Tibetan bells. The buzzer is reminiscent of air raid sirens. That's true. We were trying to do something really awful sounding, so maybe we should stop. Thank you for that.
All right. We could do the nice bells. Thank you for that comment. I realized that my Greg knows this about my coffee maker, right? Because I have a coffee maker that grinds and everything. But because I'm up in the middle of the night and I'll call Greg and I'll walk down, I'm like whispering and I'm walking down. And he's on he's on the phone and then my coffee maker go off and it sounds like an air raid siren when it just starts grinding all these things. And I couldn't figure out why I kept jumping. So I think we have to change my coffee maker too, just in the spirit of changing all air raid sirens.
All right, you have to answer this, whether you want whether you want to punt on it or not. Not ready yet. Soon.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It literally was supposed to be out by now, and I'm so grateful to my producing partners and in the studio of understanding that I had to take some serious time off and not work because I couldn't. I can't believe I churned out the Elizabeth Project. But I was already, I just had some family stuff, and so. I'm back into it now, just so you know. I was working on it, and I had it all sketched out. All 5 seasons were sketched out and outlined before I even wrote the first episode of the first season. So I know what it is. I know where it's going. I'm in it now, and it's fun. You're gonna enjoy it. It's just gonna take a little bit to come out. So I'll let you know.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but there's like 18 questions that are asking that because, we're excited.
No, it's okay.
We're excited.
I'm excited too. And I do mean it about getting the transcript for season 1 somehow. I don't know where I'll find the time to get that together and get that out, but I think, I do think that would be fun, right? So maybe some kind of, for subscribers or people who went ahead and and listened to the first season, maybe for them to get the transcripts would be great.
Yeah, I would.
It's a lot of content, and so it's really fun. It's really fun to have it written. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Okay, that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you, everybody, for asking questions. We're going to try to do this every week if we can, depending on what the announcements look like. All right, we've got one more topic left to go, and
yes, and we're a little over time. We try to do this in an hour, but one left, and maybe we won't give him any time at all. I don't know why you want
we have to do 8 minutes. We have to here. Okay. So start the clock because we want this going. Yeah. Okay. So it's announced that he's going to join the board of Twitter.
This is Elon Musk.
Musk. Oh. It's announced he's going to join the board of Twitter. Then he fucks something up and he can't be on the board of Twitter. Then he's maybe he broke the law, he signed the wrong form. Then Twitter didn't want him anyway. There's like this weird breakup email that's very cryptic. Then he comes in where he wants to buy Twitter, and he's like, I offer you $43 billion to buy Twitter. He does not specify if it's American dollars. He does not specify. It could be junk Zimbabwe money. We don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. South Africa right alongside Zimbabwe. In fact, after the hyperinflation killed the Zimbabwean currency, they started using South African rand. So this is something that he knows about. He's down there. Okay. So and then now he's in there talking about free speech. Free speech, we should be able to say whatever we want, whenever we want, which is not actually how free speech works. I guess you can say whatever you want, but you also have to face consequences for when you say things you shouldn't say. And I don't think he's thought this through, which is ridiculous because you're going to buy Twitter and you haven't thought free speech through. Maybe think it through, buddy. And then he pops up in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Okay.
It's like, this guy, what is this guy? He's fucking it's like, like on a cartoon in the old time, like you'd watch a cartoon and in the cartoon they're watching TV and they flip the TV and Tom is watching the TV and Jerry will go from station to station no matter what Tom's watching. It's a sports thing and there's Jerry at the bat, and then it's a news thing and there's Jerry behind. It's like Elon Musk on all the channels.
Yeah.
Why? I woke up this morning at 6:30 this morning. Go Elon was trending. Gee, I wonder why it's trending at 6:30 in the morning. Could it be that's where the bots live? I don't know. It's very strange.
I don't know. He said, listen, I have a whole thing about this guy. But let's just pretend that he's an engineer, which he's not. Let's just pretend that he built this empire without the tutelage and help of Peter Thiel, which he didn't. Let's just okay, it starts stacking up against him. I don't know anything about, I don't think he took Yuri Milner, Alisher Usmanov, who sanctioned Alisher Usmanov's money like Zuckerberg or Dorsey. But really, guys, do you know anyone who's actually an inventor who has an industry that they sort of a titan in and they're like anyone like that? I actually had someone like that in my family and that achieved great wealth and great success. He had no time for anything. All this guy has time for is horseshit. All he has time for is going on podcasts or tweeting on Twitter about the red pill, right? Oh, I love that Twitter delivered a poison pill to him. I'm like, yeah, your red pill turned into a poison pill, buddy. Right now, you're not going to be able to, accumulate more than 15% of that stock. So they're trying to prevent this sort of hostile takeover from this guy. But how does he have time for all this? And he's Mr. I'm building a space. We're taking human beings into space, which is arguably the single greatest endeavor for any human being to commit themselves to. And yet he still has time to show up in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard because he was messing around with Amber. It's like you have time to philander. You have time to go on Joe Rogan. You have time to be on Twitter all day. You have time to violate the SEC. No one's ever going to come after him, right? Because who could touch, right? He has time for all of this.
Host SNL. He hosted SNL that one week.
Hosted SNL.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I do know somebody. I'm going to go ahead and share this. I do know somebody who worked for him who said in front of me, he's like, oh, no. I was like, this guy's a fraud. Because I just called it what it was. It was like, how can he be doing all this? And Billy, it's not how it works. That's not how those guys are that are actually successful. I mean, imagine any of these big major CEOs behaving this way, or there's no space for it, right? And having children and naming them the XYZ exclamation point. There's no time for that. And so I'm saying this to this guy. So, oh no, he come at 2 a.m. He does. We're all go to sleep. And between 2 and 4 a.m, his ideas come to him. And he shows up the next day with all of his ideas because they come to him in the middle of the night when no one else is awake and nobody knows where they come. I'm like, I just stared. I was like, oh my God. It's like, you really? He shows up with man in the tube after 2 of the 4. Not forget the fact that was in the Department of Defense for 3 decades prior. Are you kidding me? Right? So there's something going on with the cult of people around Elon Musk that they believe it. There's some serious Kool-Aid going on there. That's just me. I'm just going out on a limb with my opinion and my free speech, Elon. This is my free speech. The other thing about Twitter, and we're getting, I don't know what our time is here. I'm sure it's going to run out. That's our public square. The world has changed. This is our public square. And I don't, there was all this, you just don't want, because he seems like he's for Trump. You don't want, I saw a lot of contrarians even like that we kind of think are, we're fellow traveling with these folks going, oh, you can't just be upset, that you want the government to stop Elon now. It's like, well, actually, I'd like for this man, if he's committing SEC violations, for him to be, it can't just be Martha Stewart that gets thrown into prison. Let's get one of these white MAGA men as well, especially one of these gajillionaires, the wealthiest man on the planet right now, aside from Vladimir Putin. Why is he untouchable? How can he just break the law? And so that's the first thing. It's not about, we want the government to interfere and stop Elon from doing this thing. No, he could very well have committed crimes, and it could be just inflating the stock. Is anyone going to look at that? That's one thing. The other thing about it is, I don't want some creepy ass billionaire controlling the public square. Why do we want one guy, this strange-o with all this money controlling everything, right? About how we say, who gets to say what. That's not free speech. Don't buy this whole thing. This is about, he's going to, none of the agreed upon rules that we might have. So this whole Twitter experiment, it's been interesting. It's been fun. I'm telling you, everybody, at some point, we got to throw this away. And I have a dear friend, and then we also have a mutual friend who, both have this idea of like, we need a public square that's community owned. And we come up with rules together and really have it reflect our democracy so that free speech can happen there. It's not free if the richest man on the planet owns and controls it all. How's that fucking free? Where's my freedom in that?
And then the bell of the oppressor rings and your free speech is curtailed.
Yeah. But I set that rule. I set that clock.
Next week we'll have Tibetan bells. It'll be something. I think maybe we should change it up every week. Maybe it should be like a different thing every week. Maybe that's the solution.
Maybe it is. Did you have something you wanted to say on that? Because my rant didn't really land like it did this morning or the other morning we were talking about it, but because I'm trying to not be completely off the rails around this, but it's upsetting to me that the folks that couldn't figure out how to connect with other human beings, because there's something wrong with them, turned into trolls who then turned into the nerds that are revenging everything in the worst way possible in this sort of Armageddon raining down on us, all to just troll us, to just sort of, I got you. Like, I can't believe we're here with these ridiculous, and I'm sorry, they are men. I'm sure there's women, but they don't seem to get the gajillions upon the billions. They marry them and divorce them and walk away with the gajillions upon the millions and then end up doing some real social good with it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that with the Elon Musks of the world. And
I wonder how popular he really is, because one of the other articles that came out was about that he controls this botnet thing that inflates his follower. Now I'm sure that they all do this, but like, where is his constituency? I think he does have people that like him and think he's this, guy. But I think a lot of the reasons why people like him are because they believe the myth, the legend. Like they believe, Moses goes to the mountaintop and God gives him the commandments and then he walks down. And it's like that with Elon Musk, like at 2 a.m, he's suddenly inspired to, and maybe that stuff isn't true. Maybe it isn't. And if the myth and the legend is just bullshit, would the followers and his admirers still admire him? I don't know. I mean, I think there is a constituency of people, especially, white guys. I am a white guy, so I can say that. Who are like, yeah, look at how he sticks it to the, he can do whatever he wants. Like, just like Zuckerberg in the early days, like, I'm the CEO, bitch, like that kind of attitude.
It's a troll.
It's trolly, and it's unprofessional, and it's mean spirited. It doesn't serve anything.
They don't know that they're cruel. They just got a stimulus that reward in their very interesting brains. They've got a reward that came back for like these are people who don't know how to connect with anybody, never really understood anything, and then all of a sudden they're getting a reward going, oh, look, I got a reaction from someone that I can control, and that gives them a sense of power and a sense of connection. Well, that's not human connection. It's just not. So why are we letting them control the shit that connects you and I to each other? That it's toxic.
We should not. Well, we're going to live in a future in which we pine for the halcyon days of Jack Dorsey, and that in itself,
I can't.
I don't know what else to say other than that. Other than happy Passover, happy Easter, happy middle of Ramadan, and some good NBA playoffs starting. So I'm excited about that. So, LB, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week because that's what we do now. We're on the show on Friday.
I guess we're doing this. Yes, I think it's happening. Okay. All right, it's happening. Bye.